We are extremely honored to have two tremendous speakers with us. Our goal here is to see if we can have an empowered and informed community. And to do that, we are always grateful to speakers who join every week, every Wednesday, and they deliver the best part of what they have is their knowledge. And there has been multiple incidents where people have come back to us and said that it really helped us think differently, or helped us with knowledge, or technical some information. So if even if we help few what we can, we think this is an achievement in itself. So let the thing go on as a community, as one, a whole group. That's our goal here. And we do this every Wednesday from 12 to 1 p.m. EST, our US time, and India time 9:30 to 10:30, or it sometimes stretches more. So yeah, with that, and we also do not stop here. We have our youth sessions, live webinars every alternate Fridays and Saturdays with two groups: younger youth group, older youth group, which teaches them to think independently. To many of them think, but they cannot deliver. So that is why the live webinars happen, where they deliver, where they speak out loud, and definitely they have fun and make friends. So with that, we begin today's session with the first topic, being our speakers in-depth review of the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And to speak about the topic, we have with us Jyotsna. And she, the best thing I liked about her profile, where she says, of course, she is, a business strategist, innovation, change management, experience strategist, and all of that. But the most important point, what she says is simplest way to define her is connect. So this is pretty much what summarizes her passion, and she loves building relationships. I think that this relationship with Let Us Talk, it will go pretty far. So with that, absolute honor to have you, Jyotsna. Over to you.
Thank you. Hey everyone, let me quickly probably start off with a quick introduction of myself. I'm Jyotsna. I'm a women in tech, and I'm blessed with two kids, a mother of 18-year-old who is just on the cusp of getting into a medicine undergrad program in London. And then I also have a 9th grade son. My husband took a very drastic step about 2 years back, and he started his own startup. So, I have an entrepreneur in myself. I'm a millennial because of my kids. I also belong to Gen Z. And, I want to stay young at heart, if not in my age part of it, right? And today I'm engaged as a senior director at Optum. And I have totally 23 years of experience. I've worn multiple hats during my entire career. So be it a business analyst kind of a role, or a technical writer, or a product manager, or a practice head, or a delivery manager, or a country head. So there's several hats that I've actually played. And something that helps me a lot is solving people's problems, be it professional or be it personal. What I like about is understanding what is it that we are solving, what is a problem that we are solving. I never jump into solutions at all. I try to understand what we are solving and why we are solving. I think the why part of it, when it resonates to me, is the most important part of it. And that's how this entire, the conversation also kind of came up. I'm just trying to see how I can get rid of this particular panel. Okay. So for the rest of the duration, just to ensure I don't eat up a lot of bandwidth, I'm going to stop my video. And also, if we can take up all the questions at the end of it, any questions that you might have. This is a topic that I really believe in, right? And this has resonated with me. And this is one of the core principles that I'm following right now. And when Julian kind of asked me, am I comfortable with any topic? I didn't want to pick up a technical topic. I wanted to pick up something that all of us can resonate with. So let's get started. This is a book that inspired me, And it also primarily helped me form a perspective, more important. And the next few minutes are my analysis or some of the highlights from this particular book. Before we get started, who is Simon Sinek? Of course, as a British American author and inspirational speaker, he spoke on TED Talk, and he's also author of 5 other books. To be very candid, I read only Start With Why. And somehow the Infinite Game kind of reminded me about Inception, and I found that too complicated to follow, so I didn't even get into that book. But if you look at it, he, like me, he's an unshakable optimist, believes in a very bright future and our ability to build it together. He discovered remarkable patterns on how greatest leaders and organizations think and communicate. And that is what he has documented into this entire book. Though this particular book is primarily intended for the entrepreneurs and the corporate world, what I've liked is some of these principles can be also applied in our personal life, more so as we come into the next few slides. Now, this is one of my most exciting example, right? So, when somebody was unmuted, I heard them speak in Telugu, and that was like, oh, thank God. There's not like an entirely US population that we have got, because I've taken a lot of Indian examples. So, the reason I took about Indigo is, if you look at Indigo, I don't know how many of you traveled on this one. I'm sure all of you would have traveled. They don't offer you any kind of a loyalty program. They don't offer you any kind of a hot meals. They're very no nonsense kind of airlines, right? And they concentrate only on one thing, which is ensuring on time delivery. If you look at their on time delivery, that is one of the highest that you've got in all the low cost airlines within India. And that is one stickiness, right? Because, as corporate and business travelers, all of us, we kind of plan our day in such a way that we want to reach somewhere on time. We want to get away from there on time, be with our families, have a work-life balance. Already our lives are too complicated and too busy. We just don't want to actually start waiting in the airports and all of that. There was a time when, SpiceJet and Air India, everyone, pretty much every other airlines was Go Air, and all of them were giving, there was a price war. We're giving away tickets for just 1 rupee, right? But end of the day, what I've seen is, yes, that attracts a lot of audience and travelers and everything. So I was the chief digital officer when SpiceJet has launched that 1 rupee ticket, right? And when we opened it for 1 rupee ticket, we had garnered about 1.2 million registrations of the users on the mobile application within less than a week, which is a commendable factor, no doubt about it. But the point I'm trying to drive is, Indigo still kind of stuck to its guns, and it kind of went with the why part of it, which is they are there to ensure that there's an on-time delivery for all of their business travelers and their customers. And if you look at all the corporate organizations, they believe a lot in the Indigo part of it. I think this is one example, right? When I start looking at who are the people who believe in the why part of it, Indigo for me is one classic example. Now let's look at what Simon is saying, right? I mean, what is he saying about this entire book? In the book, one thing that he was kind of concentrating upon is the golden circle. If you look at the golden circle, what you have, outermost and the largest circle is the what part of it, right? The product, service, or the job function. This is this is the area where every individual or organization is easily able to explain what they do. What is the product? What is the job description? So I need a React JS resource who's able to develop a product. What is the what part of it, which is the easiest to explain to it? Middle circle is the how. How is not an obvious as answer as what. When our organizations know how they do what they do, they have clarity in their product and the service differentiating factor. But the most important part of it is the innermost and the smallest circle that they're talking about, which is the why part of it. The purpose, the cause, or the reason behind why they are doing what they are doing. This is what they're talking about. Does this mean we don't need to answer the how or the why part of it? Definitely not. The winning formula that we are talking about is when all the three of them come together. The clarity of why, the discipline of how, and the consistency of what. Now, there's a lot of other things that he talks about, right? But then what I decided is to take some examples from his book and some examples from outside the book. Now, again, this is, how do I minimize this? Okay, anyways, I'm assuming this is the one. Okay. Is this better? Now, I am a huge fan of Apple personally, right? So I have, if you look at my house or my workplace, everything is Apple products for me. iPhone, iPad, iPods, iWatch, and even I have an Apple TV. Luckily, I don't have a Mac because, somehow I'm seriously married to the Windows OS. But the point that we are trying to say is, if you look at any of Apple products and you compare with Android products or any of the Samsung products for that particular matter, you would see that probably they have a lot more features. Samsung is coming up with all these foldable phones and everything, and they probably have a lot of celebrities kind of endorsing for it. But the kind of a trust that this particular brand has got is quite amazing, and we are ready to shell out any kind of a money, right? And I'm sure all of you must have seen the memes, especially on iPhone 12 versus iPhone coming up 13, where there's probably just a dot that is kind of differentiating, but the price is ridiculously high. But how many ever memes come in, whatever price that the Apple products are putting in, people are still buying it, and they are still known as the innovation leaders itself. Uh, and also, a simple fact, I don't know how many of your Apple products users, but the charger that you're talking about, right? If I buy a cable, a charging cable from any of the Apple products, I am guaranteed that it would actually come for at least 1.5 to 2 years. Now, there's no such guarantee when I buy a Samsung product, because I know that I have to probably change this particular phone in about less than a year or two, because the sound quality starts going down, the usability kind of, goes down. Again, this is my personal assessment. No offense to any of the Android users over here. But, if you look at Apple as a company, they started off by, if you go to any of the Apple or, the stores, Apptronics that you're talking about, if you look at some of their pictures, you would see that, especially in US, what they do is everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. What is this? This is the why part of it that they're starting off. Then they say that the way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user friendly. So the how part of it is what they've answered them. And finally, they say we happen to also make great computers. That is the what part of it that they're talking about. Now, this is where Apple differentiates, right? Because they are very married to their principle, the why part of it. Products might change. Tomorrow, it might be an Apple Watch, or they might actually come up with an iBucket for all that you know. But I think the concept of staying true to the innovation part of it, staying true to the user experience part of it is what kind of changes their entire sales pitch itself. Now, does this mean, when we starting to think about it, do we complicate the why part of it? There's this one advertisement that I keep thinking, right? So I don't know how many of you remember this one, but this is by Ranbir Kapoor. He talks about uncomplicated silly. It's an advertisement. I really don't remember what advertisement it is, but what I remember about it is the entire tagline. Now, I want to take just a step back. Please correct me if I'm actually going overboard in terms of the time check, but I had quite a few stories to share. A couple of years back, I was part of a mission in my previous organization that we had visited Bilaspur. Bilaspur is in Bihar, which is one of the areas which is in the middle of India that you can talk about. We went to the poorest of the poor place where literally vulnerable people stay. So these are like the forest areas, and probably their monthly income wouldn't be more than, I would probably say like $20 a month kind of a place is where we had actually gone. Now, would you believe if I actually tell you that, we went in a very patronizing space. We wanted to actually teach them what digital is all about. We wanted to actually, teach them how having a system over there is going to make their life better. We are essentially trying to bring in the connectivity part of it as part of Digital India. Now, imagine our surprise when we came to know that every person has got an Oppo phone with a Reliance 4G data network. And because all of these people keep migrating from their places to various other states, they are in constant touch with all of the people over a video call on WhatsApp. Now, that is one of the reasons why WhatsApp is so very popular in India. Now, next, if you look at it, women have identified that they use the Google Talk or Hey Google kind of a thing, right? Primarily to search for all the food recipes. For a moment, we were thinking, how do they go about typing it, right? Because most of them are illiterate and they can't probably type, and probably typing in Hindi is even more difficult. But what we have identified is they've identified a way on how they are going to go about doing it. And they kind of say, hey, Google, give me paneer tikka masala. That's all that they need to do. And then, the video kind of plays for them. And they figured out all of that. And they figured it out everything on their own. It didn't require a lot of training, or it didn't require any kind of a learning curve. So for me, that is one of the most uncomplicating part of it, right? Now, what am I talking about here? The belief that Reliance Jio wanted to bring connectivity to every nook and corner of India as part of the digital campaign itself. I think that changed the game, in my opinion. Probably when you look at West, we kind of look up to West for everything, but the kind of initiatives that the East is doing, be it India, be it China, or be it Korea, and all of them, the kind of a digital advancement that we had seen in actually the last few years, especially the last 1.5 year, given entire COVID situation and everything, is quite amazing. So again, I believe, like, when we try looking at the why part of it, let's ensure that we are uncomplicating it. We're not trying to induce much of English over there, or probably, change the world. We just need to identify the purpose of our being itself. Now, moving on. One of the other stories that I really love is the Zerodha example, right? I'm sorry, I'm overdosing you with a lot of stories and also Indian examples, but this is another thing that I really love. Zerodha is a company that has made trading barrier-free possible. That is a wow factor, because they have kind of gone and changed the entire landscape, and their primary customer base is the millennials. And the company has grown purely on the principles of technology via giving valuable services to all of the customers. They initiated the journey with a mere 5 people, right? And today they employ more than 1,200 people, and they are the first choice for any millennial customers that you're talking about. And probably, COVID also kind of helped, which I was talking about, right? People who millennials never thought about savings or insurance for that matter. I think these are the people who are actually utilizing Zerodha, and recently they went public, and you have seen the kind of a stock prices and everything that Zerodha has got, right? So that's another amazing story that I find, who have believed in the why part of it, and they've built their entire organization on that. Now, taking a step back, so this is a slightly complicated topic that Simon kind of talks again in his book, right? So he talks about how the brain works. Let's look at how many times did we buy something before, just because the price was very low, right? So the weekend sale is there, 70% off. Don't even bother to look that the word up to was added over there. We just go by the 70% off that is there. And then, a typical Indian joke that goes in that, you get a free gift and you go and buy, no matter what is the initial purchase amount of the first purchase itself. Or how much do we actually believe in the cash bags? You probably don't need a new Apple product, but you still go and buy it because you've got amazing cash backs, and then your HDFC card is giving you some 35,000 rupees discounts and all of that. There have been instances where I have indulged myself in a lot of that. Have you heard about these gimmicks about get rich in 6 weeks, or probably lose weight 7 days before your wedding? Have you heard about all of this? And these are all the manipulation techniques that we are talking about. In most of the instances, they are transaction oriented, cost money, but they're very effective. More importantly, they're very short term. So they work only in the short term kind of a thing. So what he kind of talks about is the neocortex, which is the part of the brain which is responsible for the rational and analytical thinking and the thought process, right? While this is where the why and the how exist in the limbic brain, where the gut feelings or the gut decisions actually are taken. These decisions feel right when you take it with your limbic brain, feels right, even though rationally it doesn't make any kind of a sense at all. So as I said, that's slightly a complicated, psychoanalysis that he does over there. And since I don't understand the brain concept, I still thought, what I like about is the manipulative techniques that the marketers and the digital marketing companies use over here, which I wanted to call out. Now, the next topic that I wanted to talk about is we have touched base about India, and India is full of entrepreneurs today. And they're growing by the time, especially if you look at the edtech world. Byju's and everything, the kind of money these guys are raising is quite amazing. Right now, I was thinking, if I just need to buy an Apple product, forget about an Apple product, I just want to buy a cloth, I will probably check with at least 4 or 5 of my friends whether this would look good on me or not. I have to buy, let's say, a house. Imagine the amount of advice that I would be getting, that this is the area that is good, this is where you have to invest, this is how you have to invest, these are your interiors and all of that. If we as a normal person are actually getting so much of advice, the entrepreneurs, imagine, because everyone is patronizing and they want to give out or dole out a lot of free advice. I was thinking, how do these guys weed this out, right? So what they actually do is they make sure that their what and how they do things is consistent with their why. Why actually is another way of filtering the decision making. And you ensure that if a company's why is clear and known by all the employees, anyone within the organization can take a decision as appropriately as the founder itself. And then you have an empowered organization. And that is where all of these entrepreneurs or the small startups that we are talking about are disrupting this entire world itself. So filter your decisions through your why. And then, last but not the least conversation which I wanted to have is the difference between achievement and success. This is both are interlinked, right? But if you actually look at it, achievement is something you reach or attain like a goal. A success, in contrast, is a feeling or a state of being. So it is more about the feeling part of it, right? Achievements come when you pursue and attain what you want. But success comes when you are clear in pursuit of the why you want. The purpose of being is what we are talking about as part of success. Now, we talked about the book. So, one of you can ask, so what? I mean, why are we even talking about a book that has been written? Yes, socially, everything, yes. So, professionally, I was trying to apply what this would mean. Professionally, we need a great culture before we can build a great team itself. Trust is what is one of the most important part of it. Trust is a feeling, and it is not a rational feeling again. And there's no logic over here if you look at it, right? You inherently trust few people. Now, why did I come over here? I don't know any one of you, and probably I didn't even have the time also. It's just that, I just got attracted to your name. Let's talk. And also, Julian kind of reached out. So it's more a trust factor that has been established, right? So that is what I was kind of talking about. We have to earn that particular trust by communicating and demonstrating, so that we share the same values and beliefs. Probably the same values and beliefs that we share on this particular forum could be that sharing of knowledge. Had I not turned up today, I don't think Julian or any one of you would have probably even bothered inviting me for another session in future at all. So I think that trust has to be earned. And when this particular trust we are talking about, we also need to hire people who believe in what we believe, right? Success just happens. So we don't hire people for skills. I have always looked out for the attitude. If a person has got the right attitude, I think it makes all the difference, because attitude is what aligns to our culture itself. And I've also seen that, some of the great organizations, if you look at it, don't hire skilled people, but they actually hire highly motivated people. And again, right, that is another place that makes a lot of difference. Now, the goal of the business then should be another thing, right? It should not be that, there comes a tipping point, right? So you have worked hard for certain years, and then comes a tipping point where you probably need to change the why, because the why part of it might change depending on, the kind of a founders that you've got, the kind of a business that you've got. So what we're essentially talking about is you should also be choosy about whom you're selling your particular products to. Now, when that boom comes in, there would be a lot of takers, but how and where you want to sell and who are the customers that you want to sell. If you are choosy about it, I think that makes, again, a lot of difference. So that's another topic that Simon kind of talks about, right? So it is the percentage of the people who share your beliefs and want to incorporate your ideas, your products, and your services into their own lives as what's to their own whys. These are the people that you require, whom you want as customers or users. Closing off on this particular topic, there's one thing that he's talking about, right? Leadership requires two things: a vision of the world that does not yet exist, and the ability to communicate it also. So having a vision is not as important, but if you're not able to communicate it, we probably have already failed. So as I started off, right? So we have concentrated. Simon has primarily focused on the business and entrepreneurship. Concept of starting with why can also be applied in our personal lives. Lockdown has taught me a lot of things. One of the things it has taught me is that, I need to stay very healthy. We have seen several cases where we thought people were like very healthy, have, lost their lives to COVID and all of that. Rather than concentrating on, what were the reasons that have happened, I wanted to look at how we can kind of prevent that particular one, at least from a personal loss kind of a thing, right? So I've reimagined myself. I started looking at what is my purpose and why am I here? Why is the part that I'm actually looking at, why I am existing today? Probably that's too philosophical. But, I've decided that being healthy is very, very important, not just for myself, but even for my family. And would you believe if I tell you that my entire family has lost weight in the COVID time, right? In the last 18 months or so, I think all of us have shed weight. And in fact, we have become more health conscious. We are kind of eating more on time. We look towards the work-life balance. I'm sure it has taught several things to a lot of people. And just, I wanted to share a personal story. So I told you that I have a 18-year-old daughter who is on the cusp of getting into her undergrad MBBS studies in London. So, she's a great artist. I should probably share some of the pictures that she has painted, right? She's extremely good and she's very patient. And when she kind of sits down to draw something, she's lost in that world. So she's so dedicated and very, very patient at that. I've always thought that she's going to pursue something in art. She can go to any of the European places where art is very famous and she can learn so many things. But then one day she came back and she said that, art is my hobby and, treating people, especially the poor and vulnerable is my passion. You can't argue with that, right? And as I said, my kids are my greatest teachers. And I keep learning the purpose of the why again and again on a daily basis from all of them. With that, I'll take a pause to see if you have any questions for me.
Thank you so much, Jyotsna, for a really wonderful talk. Now, please raise your hand or unmute yourself so we can recognize if there are any insights or questions with regards to the discussion.
Yeah, it's an excellent presentation and narrative, Jyotsna. It's like a series of stories, and we could really relate a lot of them. I think you have this great art of narrating and keeping the audience captive and motivated.
Thank you.
Yeah, really enjoyed. Yeah, I think definitely. We'd love to be in touch to see and explore the synergies. And also, when you mentioned about Europe, just want to mention that we are kickstarting our Let Us Talk It Youth series with Europe, like specifically interaction between France youth and American Indian youth. This Sunday at the same time, that is 12 p.m. Eastern time, where there are topics like. A couple of youth from the France and some from USA are going to talk about and interact about some topics like psychomotor modality for healing. And there is more to France than Paris, and how engineering internships work in France.
Okay.
And about Mars and about some adventure sports. Something like that. So it's going to be an exciting session this Sunday, very first of our sessions, focusing on the interactions between Europe and here. Sheetal, are you there? You want to add anything to it?
Actually, yes, I am driving, but I can definitely add. Before that, I'd like to thank Jyotsna for her talk, and I really admire your daughter for her passion. And she's totally right. I think it's very important that hobbies stay as hobbies, because once they become the breadwinning source of for anybody, the hobby goes out the window and it becomes one more to do. So she's very smart and I wish her all the best. Thank you very much for your insight on the Simon Sinek talk. I listened to him and yeah, she's the top 3, I think, right, on TED Talk. So yeah, this Let Us Talk in French initiative is definitely about expansion of minds through exchanging of ideas. And we thought this was a very good idea to bridge the gap of cultural differences, the continental distances, as well as language barriers. Because when we listen to non-native English speakers, we need a certain listening skill. It's not the same. Like all of us grew up, even though we know multiple languages, we still grew up listening to English. So it's not a big deal for us. But to listen to us when someone whose mother tongue or their official language is not English, it takes a certain listening skill for our youth, for our adults as well, and also for the youth in France. For them to express in English is a completely different ballgame. So yes, I'm very excited to be part of this series. We're gonna listen to their view of internship. Like I have not heard that they could do internship where 1 month they study, 1 month they work, and they alternate like that. So many cool things like that, and I'm excited about it. And thanks, Srini, for giving a forum for them.
Thank you. And we'll then I think get back to questions for Jyotsna, if any, from the audience. Yeah, feel free to unmute and speak. Okay, I see some comments here that they really enjoyed the session. Thank you. Yeah, so Phil, I think we can move on to the next topic probably.
Sure. And
Right.
thanks for having me here. Julian has my LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn URL. Stay connected, and I would love to hear back from all of you.
Yeah, definitely, Jyotsna. We have a lot of interactions going on every week. It's not only just about the youth public speaking and ZIPINARs and professional webinars, but we are very active in, startups, and investments and, a lot of things to do with entrepreneurship. And even stock market and, wherever the community would be empowered with more information from the experts who share their live experiences and work with us. So I would definitely let you know about those as well. So yeah, again, it's a great honor to have you here. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much again, Jyotsna. All right, so moving on for the second discussion or topic for today, which will be titled the Project Management for Beginners. Now, this will be discussed by a person of integrity and independent judgment. So he is a project management professional certified with PMI and in good standing, past 4 wares, and also have gained a good experience in software product management, in addition to project management, program management, and delivery management, and have gained the extensive professional experience and significant executive-related accomplishments in business and philanthropy. So he's a very strong, having a strong diplomatic skills and natural affinity for cultivating, trusting, and productive relationships, and for sharing the winning, facilitating, and building consensus among diverse individuals. So I have here with us Mr. Srinivasa Poti to discuss the topic about project management for beginners. Over to you.
Good afternoon for those who are in the East Coast, and good morning others. I guess majority of the people are in the East Coast, if I'm right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, organizers. I really thank you for organizing this. I want this to be an interactive session, so no one is interrupting me. They are making an active contribution if they are talking in the middle. So please make it an interactive session. And to begin with, I am presenting my screen so that we have a starting point. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Give me a minute. And Zoom is not letting me share. Can you check based on my name, Srinivasa R. Potti, and making me a presenter? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you make me a presenter?
Yeah, you should be able
Based
to
on
share
my name,
because
Srinivasa R. Potti.
yes. I mean, yeah, you should be able to share. Yeah.
It's not letting me do that.
You're doing from your mobile?
No, right now I'm on my laptop.
Oh, okay. So
And
yeah,
I see the screen, but share is not enabled.
yeah. No, I think
Right.
everything seems right. I don't know the
And
setting.
now,
Oh,
can you now?
yes. Yeah.
Right. Getting better. So as the title says, it's an interactive session. Please feel free to stop me or ask me. I want this to be a group discussion kind of thing. What is a project? Can anyone start the discussion? What is a project?
As per PMI,
A project is a temporary and go ahead. Sorry.
as per PMI, the project will have a start date and end date, definite start date and end date.
Correct. You're right. Sometimes we may not have exact date, but logically and technically, it should have a beginning and it should have a ending. Suppose we are making a movie, say Bahubali. We may not have end date in advance, but there is going to be an end date. So there should be a definite beginning and definite ending. So we call it temporary. A project is a temporary endeavor to create a unique product, service, or a result. So if we are making a movie, it's a project because it has a beginning and it has a ending. Suppose we are running payroll of the company or payroll from government. It is not a project because there is no end date. We keep running the payroll forever. With me?
Yes. Yeah.
Hello. So tell me, if we are bringing a statue from somewhere else and erecting in the middle of a lake, say Buddha statue, we got it from somewhere else, got it in the Hussain Sagar Lake in Hyderabad, the largest statue in India, I guess, at that time at least. So, is it a project?
Yes.
Yes, it is a project because it has a beginning and end. It's a temporary endeavor. So, then what is a program? What is the relation between a project and program? A program is a set of related projects that run together in a coordinated fashion. So, a program generally consists of several projects. Suppose NASA wants to send a satellite to moon. It is a project because it is a temporary endeavor. It has a beginning and ending. And suppose NASA has a plan to send 20 such satellites to the moon within a year, say for example, then they can see the whole thing, sending 20 satellites to moon as a program. So program is set of related projects which are run in a coordinated fashion. So when it comes to the budget or resources, suppose the program has 3 projects, the resources or budget, will it be a summation of all these 3 or anything else? This program will have all these 3 plus something else. What is that something else? Take this case, NASA. When they send the satellites there, if it is one, they may not have a station there, they may not have a gas station or some administration team over there, right? Suppose they have a plan to do 20 in a year, they will have some common establishment or satellite station or something that oversees the overall administration, right? That is generally the program management. How is it different from the traditional government setup? Say, take the case of State Bank of India. Each branch is run by the branch manager, and there will be a zonal manager with a set of branches, right? There, the zonal manager will have complete control and authority over the branches. But when it comes to the program management, generally the program manager does not have complete control and authority on the individual projects. But he will act as a facilitator. His budget may be less than the budget of the project manager, in fact, but the program manager will act as a facilitator here. So the difference from the traditional government setup to this program management environment is program management is a facilitator for all the projects within his program. There may be some areas like recruitment, training, building the resources, which are commonly run by the program in case those resources are common and shareable within the projects. So there might be some services like that which are in the program but not within the project of any one of those projects. Generally, all these processes that are done in projects can be grouped into 5: initiating processes, planning processes, monitoring and controlling processes, execution, closing. We'll come back to this a little later again, but when I'm talking about grouping, there may be 50 different processes that come under project management, but we group them into these areas. There are like 5 areas: either initiation, planning, monitoring and controlling, execution, or closing. Everything we do in the project has to fall into one of these 5 buckets. And same 50 processes can be vertically divided into knowledge areas. So they have to fall into one of those 9 knowledge areas listed here. So everything we do in the project has to be in one of these: either scope management, time management, cost management, quality management, HR management, communication management, risk management, procurement management, or integration management. So the way we slice and dice those processes will affect the project. What kind of work we do in project management is traditionally written in the PMBOK, which is considered as Bible in project management, which is referred by project managers around 100 countries now, which is established by that PMI, Project Management Institute. So those processes are available. So suppose there is a new project manager who is doing the project management for the first time. What does he do? He simply can take these 50 processes given by the PMBOK, that is Project Management Body of Knowledge, and start applying before starting the project. Which one of these are suitable he can pick and choose out of these 50. He doesn't need to do anything outside these 50 processes. That is the beauty of it. So suppose there is no procurement required for this particular project, then he will remove the processes related to procurement from the list of 50. Then he has his set. When it comes to the project, there will be changes all the time, right? So if you see this cost of changes, it is inversely proportionate to stakeholder influence. Do you see that here? Hello?
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, we can see here.
Changes are inevitable. So now we are not expecting any project without changes. We do have a requirement capturing scenario where we capture the requirements, we document them, and we do the requirements phase. But we cannot say those requirements are frozen. There will be changes. So these cost of changes, see the graph, that is how it goes up. So do we relate to that? Can anyone give their inputs? How does that make sense? Why a particular change costs low at the beginning of the project, but same change costs more at the middle of the project? Suppose we are talking about metro rail in Hyderabad. Okay, so there was a 3-year period in which metro rail system is built. We have 50 metro train stations, about 50 kilometers within Hyderabad. And after 2 years, there is a change in the government. The new government said, no, there should not be pillars in front of the assembly. It doesn't look nice. So to change the structure and make it underground, when it comes to that portion of the metro rail system, might have costed like 5% at the beginning of the project, but after 2 years, it might cost you 25%. Do you understand? The change of design is not free. With me?
Yes.
Yeah. Similarly, the stakeholder influence, risk and uncertainty. So what L&T says after 2 years of the project, if they say, no, we don't want the metro train in front of the assembly, it has to go through underground, L&T will not say no for it. They will say, okay, it costs you another 2,000 crores. We can make it underground now. Then one of the stakeholders, that is Telangana state government, will go back and say, sorry, no more changes, just go. Right? So the stakeholder influence will go down over a period of time because cost goes up. Right? At the same time, there will be too many uncertainties at the beginning of the project. Over a period of time, we iron out those and uncertainties will come down. So this graph tells us how those things go up and down over a period of time. This is how traditionally the functional organizations used to be when project management was not considered as a profession by itself. Take the case of a bank or a government department. There used to be a chief executive and functional managers like procurement department, supply chain department, and production department, HR department. There used to be staff. Slowly, when project management started, there used to be more weak matrix organizations where at staff level, there used to be some project coordination. When it comes to balanced matrix, Then there will be a project manager, but he will be reporting to a functional manager. So his authority will be limited because he is still reporting to the functional manager. Take the case of bank. Suppose bank automation is the project. Earlier, those branch managers used to have the techies under them. Now it is not the branch manager. Branch manager is the functional manager. He will still be there, but there will be project managers on par with the functional managers. So now it became a strong matrix where project managers do not report to the functional manager. Project managers report to the manager of the PMs, more like a PMO setup. And PMO directly reports to the chief executive, where project managers will have the authority and control over the project. So, because of this model, now more and more projects are successful. And if you see the completely project sized environment, there will be project managers reporting to the chief executive, and project managers will be having the staff. We are not there yet in reality, but in some cases, yes. NASA is a good example where they have project sized environment. So how does this affect? When you have project managers authority in functional, say traditional functional environment where project manager's authority was very little, it has been growing from weak matrix to strong matrix, and it is at the best when it is the project sized environment. Similarly, resource available to the project manager will be minimal in weak matrix, and it will be much better in strong matrix, maximum in project sized environment. This is how the industry has been moving. So we see more and more project sized environments. So we should be looking at project management authority more than the functional managers. Then functional managers will be limited to the operations, and these project managers will be handling the projects with authority and responsibility. So the role of PMs will be full time, and the role of functional managers will become part time now. I was mentioning about the 50 processes that are required to be done by the project manager in general, right? The way the system helps is we have all those 50 here. It's a matter of project manager picking from this list of 50. If there is no procurement, he will not pick the ones related to procurement here. That's all. It's as simple as that. Then he knows what he has to do from the list. And for each task, we come up with how to do it. Suppose identifying the stakeholders is the process that needs to be performed. We have clarity on what do we use to identify the stakeholders. To give you an example, for this process, we use the project charter, procurement docs, environmental factors, organizational processes, and what are the outputs? Stakeholder register, stakeholder management. So far, we have the list of processes that needs to be done by the project manager. And for each process, we know what are the inputs, what are the outputs. It's a matter of applying the knowledge, tools, and techniques to those inputs and deriving those outputs. So once we have this kind of information, the project manager's job would become clear and simple. It's not easy because he has to bring consensus among multiple stakeholders. all stakeholders will be interested in the project in general, but their goals might not be the same. There might be conflicting requirements. So bringing consensus among diverse individuals would be the challenging part for any project manager. Since Indians are supposed to be very good at risk management, let us discuss more in depth about risk management as an example in this half an hour, because half an hour can only touch the project management. It does not go into details, but I want to give you an example kind of what we do in risk management so that we do deeper dive into one of these processes. We do create and maintain a risk register from the beginning of the project. How do we do that? We identify the risks, we do the qualitative assessment, and we do the quantitative assessment. Then we create the risk response plan and keep maintaining this risk register from the beginning to end of the project, because we can have changes in the risk items. Some of the risks originally identified may not be there, they might have gone, or some of the new risks might have come. So we need to maintain the risk register from the beginning to end. Can anyone tell what is a risk? Hello, am I audible?
Risk is similar to danger. Like it might conflict with what you are working with.
Right, right. Generally, risk is perceived that way. Risk could be an opportunity also. Risk is an uncertain event. Risk is uncertainty. Risk may be positive or a negative. If the risk is positive, it is an opportunity. If the risk is negative, it is a threat. Project manager needs to maintain a risk register throughout the project. If it is an opportunity, he will try to explore the opportunity and exploit the opportunity. And if it is a threat, he will try to minimize the threat. And take the case of COVID. It was there 20 months back in China, correct? We all heard it in the news that it is there in China 20 months back itself. So at that time, suppose our political leaders and business leaders have gone through this professional approach, how they would have done? They would have considered that as one risk. Then will it be an opportunity or threat? It will be a threat because it's negative. After identifying the virus threat, they would do the qualitative assessment. Qualitative assessment generally says, is it low impact, medium impact, or high impact? So what is the impact of this particular threat? Virus, low, medium, or high? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, it's audible.
It's high, right? The impact is high and probability is low. So for each risk, we maintain a register and record what is the probability. If the probability is low, medium, high, we record accordingly. Same with impact. Then it comes to quantitative summary. When it comes to quantitative, we try to put in terms of the money aspect also. In case it is affecting the budget, how much it could be. If the probability is low and impact is high, like this virus, when it comes to quantitative, those would have measured it as very high risk because the impact is high, even the probability is low. as of 20 months back, they did not expect this to go this viral, correct? But they heard it. It is there in China. So they were thinking about it. At the time, if they have gone through this professional project management, they would have identified this as high impact, even though the probability is low. So they would have gone for quantitative assessment. In quantitative assessment, they would have gone for the dollar amount or rupee. What is the budget? In which case, how does that impact in terms of economic situation, in terms of social, in terms of morality? Because we know what happened in Italy at some point of time, right? There were deaths on the street and stuff like that. So that is not economic, that is more like a social and moral impact. Similarly, we next go to mitigation types. While planning itself, for each risk, we have a mitigation plan. Suppose we are talking about our health, individual health. We could accept that as, okay, whenever there is ill health, we deal with it at the time. That is one mitigation strategy, accepting it. Or we could buy the insurance and say we transfer that risk. In which case, mitigation strategy is transfer. Understand? Anyone following?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want you all see the possible types of mitigation here. There may be some risks which we may accept, and some risks which may transfer, like buying insurance, like buying theft insurance or life insurance, where we are transferring the risk to somebody by paying a premium. And sometimes we minimize the risk. Suppose we are working at the end of the cliff of a mountain, we know some workers might fall down. So in which case, if possible, we might come up with a net at the bottom of the cliff or somewhere where workers fall down, but they don't really get hurt too much. So minimizing the risk is a mitigation strategy in this case. So for each risk, project manager identifies the mitigation plan. And in case that happens, who are the experts available as consultants and how to go ahead, kind of thing. So just wanted to deep dive into one process, which is risk identification and risk mitigation. Similarly, we have 50 processes in project management. For each one, we generally have clarity in advance itself. How do we start? And the beauty of doing project management in a structured way is there is no need to point fingers after it happens. I told on the day itself he did not listen kind of scenario can be avoided because we document all the facts. This is an example, Rasi chart. What we do, every time there is a change or every time there is a new phase or every time there is an approval, we document. Suppose the project has 4 phases: define, design, develop, and test. For each phase, we identify the resources who are project team members as well as project leadership team. And we identify in advance who is accountable, who is responsible, who is consulting, and who is informing. Can we discuss what is the difference between responsible and accountable? For a particular task, you can have any number of people responsible, but there will be one person accountable. Suppose we are talking about accounts, there may be 5 accountants and 1 account manager or CFO and 1 CFO. And CFO may be accountable for the accounts. So for everything, there will be one person accountable. There will be multiple people responsible. Whenever there is a change, we consult some people, we take their input before making the changes, and others will be informed of the changes. So because we follow the structured methodology, we have clarity upfront who is responsible for what, like this, and hence there will be hardly any chance for finger pointing. So just wanted to take you deep dive into a couple of processes, and wanted to introduce project management for the beginners, if any, in the team. So I don't want to take more than the 30 minutes given to me. So you guys decide if you want to go through a discussion kind of.
Just a few seconds. Oops. Hey, thank you, Srinivas, for the session with very good practical examples that a layman also can understand.
Thank you so much for the
30 minutes simply gives a chance to just touch the area, but we can certainly schedule longer time if we are interested in a particular subject, right? That will be more like a training.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, speakers, for your efforts and your time joining with us today with our sessions with our webinar. So it's very informational and very in a simple way. You have delivered such detailed knowledge. If there are any questions or any insights you can share, or you can get in touch with our speakers through LinkedIn. They are very much responsive if you give them a quick chat, as the way I did to them. So they respond immediately. So feel free to do so. Also, um, again, we have our live Youth Let Us Talk It webinar every other Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can join the preparation sessions every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time by registering at our website, letustalkit.com/youth. And if you wish to review this session, you can also visit our YouTube channel, and we have other videos as well that are same as informational as what we have today. So any other questions, please raise your hand or you can chat with them offline. Okay, so I cannot see anyone raising their hand. Thank you again, everyone. And to our speakers, thank you for joining us today. See you all again next time. Again, the same time, Wednesday, for another session. Take care all and have a great day.